If you're thinking about moving to the Atlanta area, I'm sure you have a lot of questions, and understandably so. When you Google Metro Atlanta, it's going to give you an enormous area to cover. We're talking about a diameter of about 120 miles. So, where to even begin? So, today I'm going to answer a lot of the questions that my clients asked me when they're moving to this area. Let's get into it. The first question I always get is, where should I live? Where are the good spots? And the short answer is, it depends. What kind of lifestyle are you looking for? What amenities do you want? What do you need to have access to? What are your thoughts on population density? Are the school systems important to you? How much land do you want? What's your price point? I can tell you that as a general rule of thumb, if you think about the city of Atlanta in concentric circles, as you get closer to the actual city of Atlanta, a couple things are going to be true. One, it's going to be more densely populated. Two, you're going to have less land. And three, the home prices are going to be higher. Let's take a home in Sandy Springs, for example. That's going to be at 12 o'clock on the clock face and right at the city perimeter. Let's say it's selling for $1 million. If I take that same home and I put it over in Acworth, it's going to sell for probably half that, $500,000 to $600,000. So as you take all of the criteria and answer some of those questions, that's going to dial in exactly where it is that you want to be. Now, if you need any help dialing that in, my contact information is below in the description. You'll also see it here at the bottom of the screen. I'm always happy just to answer questions or have a conversation with you so that you can start to dial in exactly where you want to be in this Metro Atlanta area. Please feel free. Drop me an email, give me a call, shoot me a text anytime. What's the weather like in Atlanta? Well, as the saying goes around here, if you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes. Here's a general schedule of how it's going to go down in a year. January and February are going to be our coldest months with lows in the teens, highs in the 30s and 40s. Sometime in February, you're going to get temperatures in the 60s and you're going to think, ooh, spring is coming early. Wrong. We call that fake spring. Don't be fooled. March and April are going to be lovely with temperatures in the 60s and 70s. May is going to get hotter with temperatures in the 80s, leading to our summer months with highs in the high 90s. Sometime in August, you're going to drop down to temperatures in the 70s. You're going to think, ooh, fall's coming. Wrong. That's called fake fall. Don't be fooled. It's going to get hot again. September will bring you temperatures in the 80s, which is still kind of hot, but after the 3 months that you just went through, it's going to feel like sweet reprieve. October, November are going to be awesome, and then December is going to cool down, leading you right back into January. How often does it rain? Last year we got 113 days of rain, so about 33% of the time. Does it snow? Not really. We may get a light dusting in February, but if it does, everything shuts down. We are completely unprepared for any kind of snow. What about natural disasters? Well, we certainly don't get earthquakes. As far as tornadoes go, the state of Georgia got 56 tornadoes in 2022. So I would say out of the states that actually do get tornadoes, we are the least likely to get one. The most likely natural event to roll through is going to be a hurricane. The state of Georgia gets about 7% of all the hurricanes in the US, but Atlanta is so far inland, so by the time it reaches there, it's really not that big of a deal. It usually has rolled through Florida or Alabama, and by the time it reaches us, it's much, much less powerful. The next question I get is, where are the things to do? The first thing I would direct you to is all of the different downtown areas of these different communities. They've all done a fantastic job of investing in the infrastructure with event spaces, music venues, excellent restaurants, shopping, breweries, and tons of walkability. Some of my favorites are going to be downtown Alpharetta and the Avalon, which is right around the corner from there, City Center up in Cumming, Georgia, downtown Woodstock, downtown Marietta, and the Mill on Etowah up in Canton. There's also downtown Atlanta proper in the city. Obviously, it's going to have a rich history in MLK and civil rights that you can check out and do tons of walking and bus tours with. There's also great attractions like the World of Coke, the aquarium, the zoo, the Fox Theater, which has tons of shows and musicals and concerts and comedians rolling through there all the time. Not to mention also the restaurants. We are top 20 in the nation as far as a food city is concerned. And finally, the sports venues. Go check out the Hawks over at State Farm Arena, or the Falcons or Atlanta United over at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Now listen, I know Atlanta is not the best sports town, but it's fun, okay? Now, if you're looking to get outside, Atlanta is known for its greenery and its parks. We have tons of them, big and small. There will be no shortage of options. We also have 2 major lakes around here. There's Lake Allatoona over on the northwest side and Lake Lanier on the northeast side. So if you're looking for boating, kayaking, fishing, those are definitely gonna have you covered. We also have the start of the Blue Ridge Mountain System, so you can head up north to Jasper, Ellijay Blue Ridge if you wanna get some hiking or see some waterfalls. Or finally, you can head over to Stone Mountain on the east side of the city if you wanna get in some camping. The next question I get is, what's the job market like in Atlanta? It's really good. There's a lot of companies that headquarter out of Atlanta. Coca-Cola is in Atlanta. Delta is down by the airport. UPS is in Sandy Springs. Home Depot is in Smyrna. Newell is in Atlanta. Who's Newell? Well, maybe you've heard of some of their brands. Sharpie, Rubbermaid, Yankee Candle, Crock-Pot, Papermate, Contigo. We also have Chick-fil-A and Equifax, and that's just to name some of the big companies that are here. And then around that, we have medium-sized companies to serve those big companies, and then small companies to serve those medium-sized companies. There's a whole network of jobs and commerce here, which is why Atlanta is becoming more and more popular. All right, let's talk transportation. It's no secret that we are highly car dependent around here, and that we're one of these cities in America that is known for our traffic. Let's zoom out and take a look at our highway system. It starts with 285 that's going to make a circle right around Atlanta. This is known as the perimeter, and you can either be inside the perimeter or outside the perimeter. Then we have the 2 interstates that are going to crisscross through Atlanta. That's going to be I-75 that's going to be going northwest southeast, and I-85 that's going to be going southwest northeast. Those 2 are actually going to converge and become the same interstate for a good bit as it goes through Atlanta. Then we'll have a couple highways that are going to fill in some of the gaps, like Georgia 400, which is going to go from Buckhead through Alpharetta up into Forsyth County. And then 575 is going to branch off of 75, which contributed to a lot of the development of that North Metro Atlanta, Woodstock, and Canton. Finally, we're going to have our east and west interstate, which is going to be Highway 20. Now, it can look really complicated, but as you can see, it's not actually a ton of interstates. Where the traffic is going to occur is where all of these intersect. And as you can see, there are a lot of different intersection points. So depending on what time of day you're traveling, that 30-minute commute can become an hour and 30 minutes. Do we have any public transportation? Well, yes, we actually have the MARTA system, and that's going to be comprised of our light rail and bus system. And it's actually the 8th largest public transportation system in America. Now, the biggest downfall of that is it's all going to be within that 285 perimeter. So if you live within there, you can have really good access to the system. But if you live outside the perimeter, then you're definitely going to need that car. And finally, we have our pride and joy, the Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. This is going to be located on the southwest side of the city, outside of the perimeter. It's going to put you within a 2-hour flight of over 80% of the country. It houses 26 airlines, 237 destinations, and 222 of those are going to be from Delta. It's been named the busiest airport in the world, but it's also been named the most efficient airport in the world. So it may be a zoo when you get there, but you're gonna have a much better experience than some of those other busy airports that you've been to. The next question that I get is, can I find a home that does not have a homeowners association? And this can be a highly passionate, debated topic. Some people are pro HOA. I want to make sure that we all have a little bit of regulation so that we can control our property values. Or you have the anti-HOA, which is, I don't want someone telling me what I can or cannot do with my property. Now, wherever you are on that spectrum, what I'll tell you is, at least around here, there are what I would consider different levels of HOA. So depending on your comfort level with an HOA, some of these might work for you. Level 1 is going to be a single house on a piece of land, not in any community. Obviously, no one's going to be able to tell you what you can or cannot do with that property. The next level is going to be a no HOA community. This is an actual neighborhood of homes, but there's no homeowners association. And sometimes this can work out really well. Everyone does a generally good job of maintaining their property, leaves each other alone, no big deal. And sometimes it can go the other way, and you live next door to the guy that stores a big pink boat in his front yard and never takes down his Halloween decorations. Now, to each his own, but if you're selling your house, it's going to be a lot harder to sell if you're living next to that guy. The next level is going to be what's called a voluntary HOA. This is where you can opt in or out of the homeowners association. It usually has a few amenities like a tennis court or a pool, but they're generally not maintained very well because not everyone is committing financially to the maintenance of these amenities. Then we have what I would consider a light HOA. These are going to be fees of about $300 a year. It's probably got a nice sign at the front of the neighborhood, maybe 1 or 2 common areas in the community. And generally, we just all agree that we're going to try and keep the weeds out of our yards. Nothing too crazy. So if you're anti-HOA, this could actually be an HOA that works for you. After that is what you would consider a normal HOA. Tennis courts, swimming pool, playground, anywhere from $400 to $800 a year, depending on what the HOA is providing, and some general regulations of, hey, let's keep our mulch beds clear, and hey, it might be time for another coat of paint on your house. Finally, we have what I would call a heavy HOA. North of $1,000 a year, you got your pool, tennis courts, playgrounds, and then maybe a golf course, maybe the community gym. Maybe it's gated and you have a security guard on staff. Maybe there's a social events manager. And regulations are just going to be a lot heavier. I've even seen the kiosk at Home Depot that says such and such neighborhood approved mailbox paint. That's your thing, that's fine. Depending on where you are in the spectrum, just make sure you're aware of what you're about to step into. The document that you're going to want to ask for is the Community Association disclosures. Every seller is going to be providing that. If they don't, make sure you ask for it for any property that you happen to be viewing in the Metro Atlanta area. Now, I dived into the numbers to find out what's the probability or possibility that you can find one without an HOA in Metro Atlanta. I pulled a couple different communities. Let's take Canton, Georgia, for example. This is going to be at the very north end of Metro Atlanta. There are 340 homes available in Canton currently, and 124 of them do not have an HOA. Marietta is a couple towns south of that. It's going to have 592 homes available, and 275 of those do not have an HOA. Let's jump over to Dallas, which is on the west side of Atlanta. 389 homes are available, and 149 of them don't have an HOA. So all of those are pretty similar. You're going to find a little bit less than 50% don't have an HOA. Those are your odds as far as if you're looking for a home that doesn't have a community association. Another question I get a lot is, where are the good schools? Well, as a realtor, legally, I can't tell you about my opinion of each school, but I can direct you to some of these third-party ranking sites like niche.com and greatschools.org that highlight some of the different aspects of these schools. Now, what you need to know is that in Georgia, the school systems are separated by the county lines. And in the Metro Atlanta area, there are 18 different county school systems. Now, we're not going to talk about all 18, but I'll just highlight some of the ones that get highly ranked, like Forsyth, North Fulton, North Cobb, and Cherokee. And some of the specific schools that are going to get mentioned are Alpharetta High School in Fulton County, Milton High School in Fulton County, Lambert High School in Forsyth County, Walton High School in Cobb County, South Forsyth in Forsyth County, Johns Creek in Fulton, Denmark in Forsyth, Etowah High School in Cherokee, Lassiter in Cobb, Sequoia in Cherokee. All of these schools are going to have great teachers, graduation rates, SAT scores, athletic programs, music programs, extracurriculars. There's not going to be a wrong choice among them. So that's been my guide to moving to Atlanta. I'd love to know if there's anything that you learned or anything that you still want to know. Please drop them in the comments below. And if this is helpful, please hit subscribe, hit like, hit the notifications bell so you can stay up to date on everything that's going on around Atlanta. My name is Joel. If you're in the market, please give me a call. I'll see you in the next one.